Welcome back, guys. It is truly so warm today that I may not make it even through this intro, but hello everyone, welcome back. I hope you're all doing really well. Today we have another makeup video. I've tried to change my setup a little bit so we don't get bored of the same pink wall every time I do this. I feel like I keep knocking these over, so we'll try hard not to destroy the set. But today I have a makeup video, a get ready with me, that's going to be very different from my normal style. You're probably all very relieved to hear that, seeing as basically I do the same thing every time I film one of these. It usually involves a Glossier concealer, a tinted moisturiser, and NYX Soft Matte Lip Cream in London. We're not going to do that today. You can all breathe a sigh of relief. I'm actually going to do a full face of makeup using powder products. I can hear crickets chirping in the background and tumbleweed rolling around. I am well known for loving cream products, not powders. I barely even use powders, but this is all inspired by one product in particular. I recently had a PR launch with bareMinerals, which was via Zoom, which was very cool and very new age technology and obviously very part of the world we're living in right now. It was cool. We had a class with Katie Jane Hughes, who is an incredible makeup artist, and we used this, which is their cult product, the powder foundation. Now I think I may have used this once or twice in my life, maybe not properly, and I actually didn't hate it. I felt actually my skin looked very glowy and radiant and everything I wasn't expecting from a powder. And I posted this on Instagram and a few of you said that you were trying to get to grips with the product too and wanted to see how I'd used it. So that is what I'm going to do today. And I thought while we were here, seeing as I am using a powder foundation, I would challenge myself to use all powder products on the rest of my face too. I may regret this halfway through, but we're gonna try. There are one or two products that I either couldn't find powder substitutes for or didn't have anything like that. One of them is concealer and then mascara, which is kind of an obvious to me. I did actually Google powdered mascara without much luck. I did manage to find, however, a powdered lipstick, which is very cool, which I'm going to be using today. It's a very different colour for me. Maybe not if you've been around these parts for a long time, but different from what I'm used to right now. Okay, so obviously using a lot of powder products combined with me having dry skin means I'm really gonna have to make sure everything is nice and moisturized so that it goes on really smoothly. I've already done my whole skincare routine. I've got a bunch of really hydrating products on, but I do want to use a primer first. I think this can be allowed, seeing as I don't think powder primer exists. This one is from Elemis. It's the Pro-Collagen Insta-Smooth Primer. It's a really nice hydrating one, but it's not too heavy or too greasy, and I thought that would be perfect underneath a powder foundation. So I'm going to do things in a slightly different order. Concealer is going to have to go on first because this is a liquid. I'm using my Glossier concealer on my beauty sponge. I'm going to really try and just use this under my eyes because I feel like the powder foundation could potentially be good enough to cover around the rest of my face. And this is one area that I think it just wouldn't work. I'm sure bareMinerals do or used to do a powder concealer, something similar to their foundation. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of remember that being a thing. I've also just been for a run too, so my cheeks are still a little bit red from that. So I'm going to do my best to try and conceal that as well. There we go, I'm going to keep that really simple and easy. So this is the powder foundation. I have the shade Fairly Light, which is a little bit warm for me, but we're going to work with it. You also get this brush, which really interests me. It's got like a little dip in the center. I think you're supposed to put the powder into the dip, swirl it in the lid, and swirl it on your face. So having only used this once before, although moderately successfully, let's try it again. So I'm going to put some in the lid. There we go. And just dip my brush in and swirl this all around. So I'm going to start here on my cheek and I'm going to work in sections. I'm going to do cheeks, forehead, chin, and then nose last of all because that's where I'm going to use, I think, the least product. So I'm literally just buffing in circles. And this brush is so fluffy. Kind of does all the work for you, really. I think the more you buff as well, the more it brings out that really luminous pigment, which is what I want. I'm actually going to do the opposite of what I said just for the purposes of this video and do half my face first so we can get an idea of how this actually looks. So I'm going to blend that onto my nose. It's always hard to do half a nose. And I am going to take it under my eyes slightly as well just to set in that liquid concealer. I think that's actually kind of crazy how well this works. So this side is nothing but concealer, and then this is the side with the powder foundation. It's really actually quite covered, but there's still so much luminosity to my skin. Nothing like you would ever expect a powder to do. So I'm gonna even that up on this side. And there we go, there's really nothing much to it at all. It's just buffing powder into your skin. The only problem I have is that it's kind of hard to avoid areas like your brows and your lashes and your lips, so everything gets a little bit covered in powder. If you had lighter hair, maybe your hairline would be one you'd struggle with as well. But so far, I think so good. So next I am going to use a bronzer. This is also from bareMinerals. I also discovered this while we were doing the little online masterclass, and I think this is my favorite thing to come out of that. I really, really like this bronzer. It's called the Endless Summer bronzer, and it's actually got fake tan in it. So when you use this, supposedly the places you put it get a little bit of that fake tan deposited, and it gives your skin colour after using it for a few times. That to me is crazy, and I'm not sure how well it works. I've been using this for a little while and haven't really noticed anything like that happening, but I really love the colour of it as well. It's almost quite like cool toned ashy bronzer. So amazing for fairer skins. And I particularly like using it on this brush, which they also sent along too, which is the Seamless Shaping and Finish brush. It's got one of those like pointy ends. So it's kind of perfect for bronzing up your face. So that is what I'm gonna use. I'm just gonna buff it all along my cheekbones, on my temples, forehead, all the places I like to have my bronzer. It's actually a really strange feeling to me to just be able to buff this on incredibly smoothly. I'm used to putting bronzer on top of a cream foundation or a cream tinted moisturizer. So using this on top of powder is really, really nice. It's also completely matte too. There's no shimmer in it, which I really like. I like a matte bronzer. So while I was rooting around in my makeup drawers looking for products to use for this video, I stumbled across this and I decided that I really wanted to use it. This is MAC Melba. It's a very subtle peachy pink matte blush. I thought it would look really nice with what I'm planning on doing today. And it's been so long since I used a MAC blush, I kind of just wanted to relive it. I'm going to go really subtle on this because I want to keep the colour on my cheeks to the minimum. MAC blushes aren't the most pigmented. They are actually quite buildable, which is nice because you don't go super heavy-handed as soon as you apply it. So that is all I'm going to do with that. I do have highlighters to use, but I'm going to save that, I think, till nearer the end. So let's sort these brows out. Normally I'll do my brows off camera, but today I thought I would treat you all to watching me struggle with brow powder. So I have this Browzings palette from Benefit. I thought this was my best bet because it's got quite a few different colours in it. These are all the powders along this side. I'm kind of maybe going to do a mix of a couple. We'll see. My brows are quite dark at the moment, or I've been doing them quite dark because my hair obviously is nearly completely grown out. So I'm going to do what I normally do, but with my brow pomade, and just take this on an angle brush and define my brows. I'm expecting this to be a lot softer, more subtle than I'm usually used to, just because powder does look a lot softer. I do get a few questions sometimes on how I do my brows, just because I usually either speed through it or leave it out when I'm filming. And honestly, I don't really do anything special. I just fill them in. Sometimes I'll do little brush strokes, or I'll try and do little hair strokes at the front, so it sort of blends out quite naturally. And then I'll always make sure I define my arch a little bit higher than it actually is. My eyebrows are quite wonky, so I have to try and adjust them, although this one, you can see it already, always wants to be higher. That actually has turned out a lot better than I was expecting, if not maybe a little bit dark, but we'll run with that. Let me now try and do the same thing on the other side. There's always that one brow that's just slightly trickier for some reason to fill in, and that is definitely my right eyebrow. This is where I'm going to break the rules again with a liquid product because I didn't know what else to do. I'm setting them and brushing them up quite a bit with the Anastasia brow gel. I love this stuff. I really like my brows to be as brushed up as possible and for them to stay there. And not many brow gels and pomades actually hold them in place, but this stuff does. It is literally like super glue. And I always think as soon as I brush my brows up and I set them in place like this, they look so much better. They just look 10 times more real than if I were just to leave it and not do this step. So absolute must, very necessary. So because I'm going bolder on my lips, I'm going to keep my eyes super simple. I'm actually just going to go back to the bronzer. I'm going to take this on a fluffy brush and just blend that all over my lid. This really is kind of my day-to-day eye look. I do this without even thinking about it, and it's quite nice because it ties the rest of your makeup together because you have that similar tone on your lid as you do around your face. It just looks like a natural shadow, and it's something that I just always gravitate towards. I'm also going to take that underneath, and I'm not going to use a smaller brush this time. I'm going to try and do it with this fluffy one because I want it to look very much like a blended shadow. There is one other thing that I want to do with my eyes, and for that I'm going to pull out this very old but well-loved Naked 2 palette. I think I have a customized version of this because it doesn't look like this everywhere else. I think it was spray painted for me, which is very cool. This is a great palette if you like quite cool tone shades, but for me it has this really amazing black in it, which I use all the time. A good black eyeshadow I think is very underrated. There's a lot of things you can do with it, and today I kind of just want to do a very small defining line, not quite a wing, not quite a cat eye, just something a little bit soft and blended, but enough to make my eyes pop a little bit. I'm going to use an angle brush, and this is a powder technique that I actually really like to do. It's a lot more subtle than using an actual liquid liner. So I'm just gonna kind of press this into a line along my eyes and really keep it quite close to the roots of my lashes. And then I can also take like a little fluffy brush and just soften that even more, so it's a really smoky line. So really subtle, very simple, but once I have mascara on, which I'm going to do next, it'll just go that little bit further to making my eyes look bigger and wider. I'm going to curl my lashes, I'm going to do my By Terry mascara, and we will be back. So this is the part I'm kind of very excited about. I have used this, I think, before in a video, but a long time ago. So I have a powdered lipstick. This is Chanel, and it's called the Lip Balm and Powder Duo. So basically it's kind of a two-parter inside. You have this kind of waxy balm, and then the lip colour, which is just a powdered pigment. You put the balm on first and then press the powder on top, and it actually gives a very cool, like subtle, smudgy look to your lipstick, particularly with this colour here, which I have in Rosso Pompeiano, which is a super bright orangey red. It looks really cool. So I think I ended up finding it was best to put the balm on with your fingers, and then it comes with this little brush which you just kind of dip into the powder and press all over. It is a little bit more time consuming than putting on a regular lipstick, but I think it's kind of worth it. It looks really, really cool. There we go. I think this is such a cool product, and a really nice colour as well. I do remember buying this one. I think it was part of a limited edition range, so I'm not that confident on how readily available it currently is, although I'm sure there are lots of other things out there like this. I think you could even do this with like a blusher colour and some balm, any kind of powdered pigment that you would like as a lip colour, with the balm underneath could work just as well. So that is my powdered lipstick. I saved the best till last. I haven't highlighted yet, although I feel like I barely need it. My skin is so glowy. Really can't get over the science of how that is actually happening, but I do want to use this. It's Becca Champagne Pop, the ultimate powder highlight. I had to include it in this video, so I'm just going to be very sparing with this because I remember how intense it actually is, and just use this on the high points of my cheeks and my nose and a little bit on my cupid's bow, and that is it. I could keep going forever, but I really shouldn't. So there we have it. That's my full face of powder products. I am probably as shocked as you are at how unpowdered this actually looks. I think this has definitely made me consider using more powders than I probably do on a regular basis, and actually that they could look quite nice and probably last a lot better, especially in this heat, than creams do. Creams are great for summer because they just look so natural, but I think at the end of the day, powder products have so much more longevity and they're going to really stick around on your face. So this could be a makeup that you do for a day when you really need your makeup to stay in place. So guys, I'm going to leave you all here. Thank you so much for watching this. I'll leave everything linked down below as usual. I'll try to include shade names as well because I know that's something you guys like to know. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this. I'll leave a playlist up here with all my other kind of get ready with my makeup looks that I've been doing recently. I hope you guys are all having an amazing day, and I will see you soon. Bye.